Hello, everyone. Kinetic Chaos here. Wes and Will. Wes is coming back from behind the camera.
Here I am.
Here he is. This is Kinetic Chaos Podcast number 41. We are very, very thankful to have you guys joining us. We are just getting everything up and running. Shouldn't be but just 1 second before the broadcast starts. Hope you guys have had a wonderful Monday. Tia is already watching. Hello, Tia. How are you? And we're watching too.
Oh, how about that?
How about that?
Who knew?
Who knew? Okay, let's see here. Okay. Let me finish chewing up my acid. Hi, Jennifer. Quick
How's it
drink of
going?
water. And get some too. We're looking real good. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go, kids. 3, 2. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Kinetic Chaos Podcast number 41. I am your host, Will, joined as always by my good friend Wes.
Here I am.
Here he is. We are joining you from the brand spanking new secret underground bunker in front of a live studio audience of my dog Bronx. That's how bad people want to come watch us, Wes. We just have a dog here that is interested in the crawdads that we have over there in the bucket that have some sausage in it. So all he wants to do is get in there and play with the crawdads. So did you have a good Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because it's done now.
It is done.
Yeah.
You your text earlier this morning. Alton's watching as well.
Hey.
Your text this morning. Just charging us up, getting us ready for Monday. I got a case of the Monday.
That's
no,
right.
I'm joking. No, it was a good Monday. Every day has got to be a good day. Although Mondays, I don't know what it is. It just seems like, there is a case of the Mondays for some reason.
Grinding gears, getting back in the swing of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think I got my case of the Mondays, though, last night post recording when I dumped my Bloody Mary into my recording case. For some reason, this afternoon when I went to set up, I opened it all back up and it smelled like tomato sauce.
Never have guessed.
Never have guessed.
Yeah.
There was some pickled asparagus in there. There was some pickled garlic. So we got that cleaned up, luckily, though. But that was a major party foul on my part last night. So tonight we're no smoking barbecue tonight. But I do want to try to make that somewhat regular because it's fun. Little feature.
Yeah.
The smoke rolling in the background, checking the meat.
Instead
and
of
enjoying
a water
it.
feature, we can have like a barbecue feature.
Exactly.
A grill
And
feature. Yeah.
I'll be getting the new barbecue pretty soon and bringing over the vault smoker. And once we have that bad boy, then the wheels are off.
Yeah.
The bus is out of control. The smoking of meats will be unstoppable.
I love it.
With that being said, let's get into something good that happened to us since last night. And I'm challenging you because we did last night, and now you had a Monday, so you got to find something good within 24 hours on a Monday. What do you got?
Is that my Monday is done, and thus this has kicked off the last full week of work that I have.
Oh, here we go.
See?
Yes.
See? So 4 more days until a whole bunch of long weekends start stacking
Now,
up. So.
give us a rundown on that again. I know you've already told us. But
Yeah,
recap
so I got the following Monday, Tuesday. So I got a 4-day weekend followed by a 3-day weekend, that being Labor Day weekend. And then the weekend after Labor Day, I'm taking a couple days off too. So that's yet another 4-day weekend.
That is
Yep.
spectacular.
Yeah, I'm fired up. 4 more work days to go until we start that action.
That will be very nice, very nice. I've got to say that, oh, dang it, the feed froze up. But we'll be back for those that are watching very soon, hopefully. For me, I've got to say that something good that happened to me was I came home today, and Derek and my nephew Jude came home with a whole bunch of crawdads. And why is that good? Just because we're here, they can walk to the river, not be on the video games, not be on anything digital, whatever, lose track of time, the whole works. They're down there catching crawdads, swimming, all that fun stuff that 12 and 13-year-olds should be doing rather than sitting on their can.
Sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah, exactly. On a beautiful, smoky day.
Yeah.
I promised my barbecue last night. I don't believe had anything to do with that. As we have the remnants of all these fires. I think we're going to have this for a couple more days.
I think so. I think they said by Thursday it should be all gone.
It is a mite bit cooler, I believe.
Yes,
today.
screened out the heat, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think they were calling for somewhere around 92-ish.
Yeah, they blew that. I think it barely got to 80.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
missed
did it
by
really?
I think it barely, maybe 80, but I mean, it was definitely like at least 10 degrees off.
Yeah,
so.
which I am a huge fan of. So, oh, come on, live feed. Now, for some reason, it's still showing that as live. Let's see what we can do here. Sorry, I'm doing a little technical stuff while we're watching. But anyway, so while we do have a good news story, as we always do, this one involves a 98-year-old man that walks 6 miles a day to visit his wife in the hospital. This is what love is made for.
Absolutely, yep. So yeah, as Will said, this is a 98-year-old guy. His wife is in the hospital undergoing treatment for cancer, and his daughter has offered numerous times to give him a ride to the hospital, but she said that he just gets too antsy and doesn't want to wait for her.
Really?
And so he just, like, first thing in the morning, he wakes up and he just starts walking to the hospital. So he's been doing it. I think they said she's been in the hospital for a couple weeks now.
Really?
And he makes this 6 mile trek
every day. Round trip or one way?
I didn't say, so maybe round trip. Maybe.
Hey, I don't
care.
care.
98-year-old guy. That's insane.
We can't get 18-year-old kids to do 3 miles rather than, I mean, so that is a heck of a testament to him and his resolve to go see his wife.
Yep.
And if there's a time that somebody needs to have someone there with them, it's during cancer treatment.
Right.
So she's obviously inpatient. I bet
Right.
I've got a good feeling I know what kind of chemo it is, and it's a nasty one, and you want to be in there. I'm sure she's fairly old as well to have
Yeah,
to
I didn't say, but I would
need to
assume
be
so.
in there.
Yeah.
So, well, that's great. We love that, and hopefully things turn out very positively for her. Don't know what kind of diagnosis she has, but that's good that you know, just to see that kind of thing again. That love is alive, and doesn't matter if it's 6 miles. I bet you if it was 12, he would do the same thing. So, well, with that, we're gonna get into the hot sheet.
All right.
This one is a former UN chief has passed away. Kofi Annan.
Yep, Kofi Annan. He was there for quite a while as Secretary General of the UN. He passed away a couple days ago at the age of 80 years old, and he held the position of the UN Secretary General from 1997 until 2006. So that's 2 terms because they serve 5-year terms. So he did it back to back, and that was from the time, obviously 97. That would be the year I graduated high school, and it's kind of around the time I started paying more attention to politics and history and civics and that kind of stuff in general. So that's the name I knew for the longest time as the Secretary General. So I mean that was he was the UN to me when I thought about that, because he was the big name, obviously being the top dog at the UN that I attached to the UN. So.
Yeah, and he did. I don't know how good of a job he did because I didn't pay attention to it as much
I don't
when
know
I was
about
that age.
the nuts and bolts of it. I just know the name attachment. Definitely. Yeah.
He did not win the UN Secretary General lottery for best name ever, though. That has to go to Boutros Ghali. One of my favorite things ever to say, Boutros Ghali. How do you name your kid 2 of the same? It's like William.
Walla Walla.
I guess, but that's a city. Hey,
Who
West.
named that? I know, but who named Walla Walla twice? Or who named Walla
it's
Square?
so nice they named it twice.
That's right.
Isn't that what we say?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's unfortunate that he actually. Now that if I think about it, I think he was a pretty well
I think
received
so.
UN.
I do believe. I don't think there was a whole lot of hubbub around him. So
yeah. Well, as we get into number 2 here, we've got the commander of the Iranian army. Evidently, is set up an Instagram account because hey, everyone else has, right?
Yeah. So this is weird on a whole bunch of levels. First off, that the Middle East, particularly the hardliners like Iranians, they hate Western culture, but here they are using the internet and Instagram.
Which is surprising because I believe they're actually banned.
They're not supposed to be doing it. Yeah, exactly. And so, as Will said, this is the commander of the Iranian army, has an Instagram account, and he uses it to, as you would expect, to spread propaganda around, trying to use it as a recruitment tool and make people sympathize with Iran. And the reason this came in the news recently is a picture that he posted on his IG account, and that was like a CGI image of the White House blowing up.
Really?
Is what he put on there. And so it's kind of funny also, not only the fact that they're using Western technology even though they hate the West, that they are also, what happened to Twitter and everybody banning all these people for controversial comments, yet you're going to let some hardline Middle Eastern general put propaganda online about the White House blowing up. Why isn't his account suspended?
I'm not sure. Now, I will say Twitter they bring out the ban hammer much faster than anyone else. And it may get loud here real quick, folks, because Brandon is pulling in. I don't know if he's going to come all the way into the garage or not, but his truck is just obnoxiously loud, which I'm very proud of. But, no, I don't think, because Facebook owns Instagram, I don't know how fast they'll get that out there. But and not, with this new kind of these issues with exactly what you're talking about, banning free speech and stuff like that. Where is that line for people to, what they're saying is so outlandish that it needs to be banned. Right. Whereas it's, because we have the Alex Joneses and the, what's that, Cernovich guy, Mike Cernovich?
Mike Cernovich, yep.
Yeah, he sounds like he's kind of a little Looney Tunes.
Yeah, he's a little out there.
A lot Looney Tunes, but what is it, guerrilla tactics or something like that?
I think that's right.
Anyway, but no, I mean, they've got to clamp down on him to some degree, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just taking them a few days because it's not. They're not making money on it, so they're not going to get to it as fast.
Right,
as
exactly.
if they were making money on it. Well, it'll get us right into number 3 here. A rising progressive candidate is slammed for barring press coverage, and this is what's her name, Ocasio or whatever. Her
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the darling of the left, that's won her congressional nomination out of a district in New York. She's a 28-year-old. For those of you who don't know, 28-year-old former bartender. She has a degree in international affairs or international something or other. But I don't know how she got the degree, because if you quiz her on the most basic of stuff, she can't handle it.
Last week she got absolutely skewered. On who was she on? Was it?
She's been on it.
It wasn't Jake Tapper. It was what's the name? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's okay. So anyway, now what's really funny is that I think she's obviously realizing that she can't handle these kind of serious questions when they come her way. And so now she's held 2 campaign rallies in the last week or week and a half. And both of them have been closed to the press. She has not allowed any media members into her rallies at all. So it shows that she's got something to hide. She's a little she's unsure of herself. Exactly.
And she's hiding behind her constituents.
Right.
Or, well, her wannabe constituents. Yeah. She's saying that the reason she's doing is that the press intimidates them so much that she doesn't want them to feel the pressure of having cameras or microphones there, that she wants it to be free for people to talk. Well, the press is free. You can hide a microphone if you want. You don't have to have cameras and video going off all the time. You can have it broadcast very easily without that. So that's a complete line of garbage in my opinion. And especially for somebody that is, a progressive and things like that. What is the number and rallies against all these things that are Republican and the treatment of the press and things like that?
And obviously the hypocrisy of it is the left likes to slam Trump for talking smack about the media.
Exactly.
Yet here
news.
Yeah, exactly. Yet here she is, shutting the media out and not letting them attend her functions. So.
When I saw that, I could not believe it. And it was so cringeworthy to watch her last week. I mean, it was incredible. The responses that she was giving, I'm the type of person that I don't like watching people uncomfortable on TV or in movies.
Really uncomfortable.
Yes, and to watch somebody just basically douse themselves in kerosene and torch it. I mean, that's
my favorite line from her so far. I'm sure there'd be plenty more coming down the road, but we talked about it right after she won the primary. Was that they were talking about jobs and the economy, and she said the only reason the unemployment rate is so low is because a whole bunch of people are working 2 jobs. That was just an absolute classic. Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, it goes right along the lines with everyone else that follows media and is their headline hunting. That's what they're doing. They're looking at the headlines, and like we've talked about numerous times, where now the content creators are making it so easy just to pick off some, I don't want to say they're all facts, but pick out information by just putting like 4 little cliff notes at the top of the article so that the TLDR camp of people that are too lazy didn't read can actually get something. But then again, that's their way of moving the story to what they want rather than what the actual story is. Like we had over the weekend, I don't know if we're going to get into, we probably will at some point, but the ICE picking up the guy that was, first of all, it was the white guy that had killed his whole family, and they just went after him, saying that the whole thing, he was being presented as this family man and all that, and when he killed his entire family. And then the other gentleman, I can't remember if he was black or Mexican or what, but he got picked up by ICE, and you know more about that one?
Yeah, do you know why he was picked up by ICE? So he
was taking his kids somewhere, I believe, wasn't he?
Visiting his wife in the hospital or something like that. So that's whatever that was. The media picked it up and ran with that as the headline. Oh, this guy's just trying to, go visit his family or his wife or whatever. But the backstory is the reason ICE picked him up is he's wanted for murder in Mexico.
Oh, okay, that's it.
But that wasn't reported.
No.
Nobody talked about that. It's just, this poor innocent guy is walking down the street and he got grabbed by ICE. Well, they grabbed him because he has, he's wanted for murder. There's a little...
And the other thing that came out with that was that, thank you for clarifying that for me, because everything just kind of runs together.
Yeah, that's cool.
But is that they didn't include that in their press release. And so that is what the media is saying. Well, you didn't tell us. Well, guys, we don't need to tell you everything. Yeah. It's not a requirement that we tell you everything that has happened in this person's life, why we are picking him up. If you want to ask the question, go ahead.
Right.
We'll answer it, no problem. But for every person they pick up, they're not giving their whole life story.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll move on to number 4 here, which is a very, very rare Ford Mustang. I'm assuming this is not an animal Mustang.
Yeah, not the horse.
It was found rotting in a field. What do we got?
Yeah, so this was a 1967 Mustang. They did a few of them. They sent a few of these Mustangs back in the day to Carroll Shelby, who's the famous guy for modifying and Mustangs. So what they would do is every year they would send him a few cars off the line and let him modify them and tweak them and give them ideas for what they could do in the future. And after he was done tinkering with them and doing all this stuff, he was supposed to send them back to Ford, and they would just basically deconstruct them and use them for parts because they wouldn't resell them. It was just like a prototype experimental stuff. Mm-hmm. But a couple of them over the years, they didn't make it back to Ford. Somebody kind of sold it off to the side. Oops, we'll just sell this one instead. And I think there were 2 or 3 of them that were known to have been sold into private hands instead of being returned to Ford like they were supposed to have. And 2 of them have been accounted for. Up until now, they had one that was missing, and now they've just run across this missing one.
Do we know what year?
67. And so it was. I don't think so. I saw a picture of it. I don't think it was a fastback. So what the story is that it was sold a couple different times, and this guy, who the final owner of it, I guess I think they said they were using it for parts. I don't know if he had another Mustang, so he was using this as a part car. But he ended up just dumping it, I think in his brother's or his cousin's field. After they got done grabbing whatever parts they wanted, he just kind of, pulled it off in the field and ditched it, and it just sat there forever. I believe almost 50 years it was in this field when the guy last touched it.
Really?
And but there was weeds growing it. You couldn't even see it. So I guess somebody was out there clearing the field one day, and they come across this old junker car. And they went, digging further to see in the history. So they pulled the VIN number on it and were able to trace it down and figure out what this was. And it still had a lot of the customization that Carroll Shelby had done.
Himself, I imagine he was probably involved in
that. Yep, exactly. So anyway, bottom line is they believe that even in its dilapidated condition that it's in, that it could get close to $2 million at auction.
Are you kidding me?
It's insane.
Holy moly! Carroll Shelby probably wants it back.
Yeah. Is he alive still? I don't know if he is. He? Okay, can't remember if he's alive still or not. But yeah, so they're thinking because it's obviously he's been sitting in a field for almost 50 years, so it's not in good shape at all. But just due to the rarity of it, they're thinking it can get close to $2 million.
That would be absolutely crazy. I would really like. Yeah, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that because to clarify,
Carroll Shelby?
Mr. Shelby died May 10th of 2012.
Okay. thought I read that he passed. Well,
he would, to give anyone that doesn't know anything, well, not much about Shelby, he has been, and still to this day, Shelby modifies Fords, and they do an amazing job. It's kind of the middle of the road, if I had to describe it, middle of the road between Saleen, what Steve Saleen does, and what Ford GT, what their
just the more factory
stuff is. And I think that Saleen goes above and beyond. I mean, they have the Saleen S7, which is a $700,000 car or whatever, and then his Mustangs, which is, I will say, the fastest I've ever been on terra firma is in a Saleen Mustang, 145 miles an hour, about a quarter of a mile north of us on P Street, ironically enough, through the cemetery.
Yep.
Got to give a shout out to Mr. Clint on that one for taking me top down Metallica Inner Sandman, blasting as fast as possible. We jumped the little hill, just a little, nothing crazy, and he just drops the hammer. We hit 145 in a 25 mile an hour zone and had it shut down by the time we hit the stop sign.
30 seconds?
At 30 seconds. Kick in the pants. Not something that I really want my mom to hear about, but it's fun. But no, that's so Shelby he did a really good, clean, classic upgrade is what I really like, and I'm a Ford guy, so it's that's what I really liked about him. So number 5 here in the hot sheet is not shocking at all, but some violence erupted up in Seattle. Their pro Second Amendment rally.
They had a pro Second Amendment rally in Seattle, and the usual cast of yahoos showed up. The counter demonstrators.
My kids were there.
Yeah, and caused all sorts of basically turned it into a riot, because they obviously, when they show up, they start trying to antagonize people, and it just devolves. But I thought the funny takeaway from this story that kind of made me laugh were the 3 organizations that were involved on the counter-protest side against these Second Amendment guys. The first group that was part of this was the Organized Workers for Labor Solidarity. Okay. That sounds a little communist. The second group is just called Radical Women.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think there's probably a website about that. Don't Google that at work, kids. Do not do it.
And the third and final
NSFW.
The third and final one, which is the best thing, talk about completely counterintuitive and oxymoron, the Freedom Socialist Party. How does that work out?
I don't know that it does.
Yeah.
That's it always is funny when they come up with names like, well, it's just like any communist country. It's the People's Republic. It's like, no, it's not yours, but we'll put it in the name and we'll fake you into thinking it's yours. But if you run towards the border, we'll shoot you. You're dead. And to piggyback off the socialist thing, there was a tweet I saw come across this morning from the Washington Post, had a story about how we need to realign the way we think of the word socialism, but it was behind a paywall.
Oh, jeez.
So no one could read it.
That is awesome.
Unless it's like, we're all pro-socialism, except you got to pay for it. We're not going to pay for it because Daniel Snyder needs it. Bezos owns it.
Yeah, Bezos owns it.
Bezos, because Amazon doesn't have much money, so they're looking. They need to get that $2 to $3 a month or whatever they charge for their fish wrap there. So no, I thought that was really funny. I won't take credit for finding that. Somebody else pointed it out on Twitter, and I thought that was hilarious.
That is really good.
Well, we don't really have a flashback today.
No, we didn't have anything. I scoured the interwebs, and nothing that I came across was something we talked about recently. So
no worries on that. But at this time, we do have a Platinum Moms podcast promo that we'd like to let you guys listen in on, because we'll be dropping their fresh episode on Wednesday morning. And now that I'm a little more settled in things, I'll actually have it out Wednesday morning, I promise. So without further ado, this is the Platinum Moms promo. And we are back. If you'll write down 2313, please. I'd appreciate it. Well, now it's time for the trifecta. And this first one, I kind of talked about it a little bit ago, but this is the father that was arrested for the triple murder of his wife and 2 daughters. So incredibly sad. Incredibly sad,
yeah. This was just outside of Denver. A woman and her 2 children went missing, and the husband came out, and we've seen this before, sadly. It's kind of a typical ploy. came out and made the plea to the media that he just wants them to come home, and if somebody kidnapped them, just bring them back or whatever, that
no
kind of deal.
questions asked.
Right, all of the usual deal. And then I believe it was the next day or maybe 2 days after he did that press conference, then he came out and confessed that he was the one that actually killed them. And she was pregnant too.
Yeah.
So, and he worked for an oil company. This is the other brutal thing. It's
this is the most brutal part of the whole thing.
Yeah, he worked for an oil company, and so he had access to. I don't know if it was on his property or if he had access to some company property that had barrels of oil stored on it, and he dumped the bodies inside barrels of oil.
Talk about cringeworthy. I mean, they just keep banging the microphone. I apologize to anyone listening, but no, that's the type of thing that there's a special place that for people like that, and what it takes, I don't know, and obviously I will never know what it takes for somebody to do that, obviously, but then to come out and to act like they're so sad and they're so taken aback. It's not like this was an accident.
It's obviously a sociopath, because you're able to distance yourself from the reality and put on a different front kind of deal. So
and you're exactly right. I mean, he's a sociopath when you can put yourself above everything else and compartmentalize in that fashion. What does it take? Because we're all pretty good. We have to be relatively good at compartmentalizing things. Otherwise, our whole life would be a giant disaster all the time. But to be able to do that, the power to compartmentalize that and go in front of the media and talk to investigators and things like that, it's just, and that's why I like those shows like First 48 and whatnot. But to see people's ability, it's incredible to watch them lie like that. And I've done some, because my dad taught me some neurolinguistics, and to see what the story that people tell with their body language and then what they tell with their mouth, totally different.
You just look for the tells in their face and they give themselves away.
And absolutely, and they do it. They have no idea they're doing it because they can't control their subconscious very well. And so it's something that I've used for many years, especially with the kids, in that the way they talk and the way their voice inflection and stuff like that. If they're telling a doozy or something like that, and so they just got over doing that because they're like, how does he know? I'm like, well, you tell the story, you just don't know you're telling.
Right.
You're trying not to, but that makes it even worse. So that's something that has always interested me, and I'm actually reading a book now on negotiation that involves that. It's written by the FBI's chief hostage negotiator, and how that stuff comes into play is really interesting.
I thought you were going to say it was The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump that you're reading.
The fart of the deal. Anyway, that's that one we'll probably end up following up on, but it's just incredibly sad. And this is another one of the examples that are we in a rock?
You got a diesel going by, Steve.
Yeah,
Your diesel's rolling down the road.
This is what it's all about. This is why we do it outside.
That's
It's not canned. It's we have everything out here. We got birds. Luckily today Bronx isn't scratching himself like he was last night. Wes had to, because we were going to get, the FCC was going to overturn
shut us down. Yeah,
exactly. But no, back to the story, and how they used the example of the gentleman that was picked up for the murder in Mexico by ICE, and then this, and how it was presented on the news media, and it kind of, what I was saying earlier is, this guy was, in this nice family picture and whatnot, but then I saw today his mugshot when I was reading the stories, and I can kind of see that a little bit. Why put a picture like that up with him and the family? Don't paint it as like a happy family broken. Paint it for what it is. It's a cold-blooded murder.
Right.
There's no other way to put it. So, and this is going to lead us right into social media censorship, which is, oh man, what a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and it kind of ties back into what we talked about with hot sheet number 2 with the Iranian army commander having an Instagram account. That's just the whole ongoing battle with the social media censorship, and where do you draw the line, in particular with it being a private company, and the big thing that's been in the news recurring is, we talked about that again, is Alex Jones getting shut down, and
Cernovich is his fill-in.
Yeah. But even people on the far left have come out in Jones's defense, and even conservatives that don't like Jones, basically on a first, exactly, like Ben Shapiro, on a First Amendment stance, it's wrong to shut this guy down. And so the guy most recently that came out in support of Alex Jones was Bill Maher.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So
but he has to, because he says such outlandish things. No one, I would think that he would be the number one rah-rah guy for this, because he says crap that is so absolutely insane that there's a dog. He can. I can see him wanting that, because he doesn't want to be censored ever. So.
Right. And then the other slippery slope side of this thing is that then Trump has said he's vowing action against this kind of censorship. But again, it's a private company. You don't have to use Twitter if you don't want it. You don't have to. It's so for Trump to go out and start making these kind of claims, it's a little sketchy, and it just, it's not gonna solve anything. It's just gonna make matters worse.
Oh, absolutely.
He's gonna try to force his hand on a private company. So.
What do you think about? What's your take on this whole censorship of social media?
Well, I think it's both sides. I think it's totally wrong to do that from a First Amendment standpoint. But again, they're a private company. Nobody's forcing you to use them. You're not paying for their service and getting denied their service. It's already paid for. It's all free. It's all voluntary. So you don't really have a leg to stand on if you want to argue from that point either. So,
I think that I'm right there with you, and I'm right there with Shapiro and folks like that, in that we've got to protect the ability to say what we want.
Right.
But we also need to make sure that, but it's all subjective.
Absolutely.
To who is offended by it and who is not.
Mm-hmm.
I think I brought it up on one of the broadcasts a couple of weeks ago, where I read something where a gentleman put up an American flag on his house, and his neighbor put a note on his door asking why he could put up such an incendiary flag on his house and all this stuff. It's like, wait a minute. This is what this country is based on.
Right.
Our ability to say what we want, whether it's the United States flag, Paraguay, Nazi, Oregon State Beavers, whatever. We have the right to do it. Doesn't mean that it's right that we do it, but we're protected in that, that we can say what we want without repercussion. Now, you may get social repercussions for having crazy things up there, like if you did fly a Nazi flag or something like that, but you still have the right to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
And, you and I both agree that, I believe that we're going to fight for that as long as we can. We don't agree with it, but we do want to make sure that everyone is an equal in this.
Right.
And it's very, very important. But at what point, Alex Jones can go out and say some of the most insane things ever, but where's that line?
Yeah. And then the other part you get into that's hard is the whole libel and slander laws, and it's the burden of proof on that kind of stuff is so beyond the pale. Yeah, it's really tough to do that. So you got the I can see that side of things too, where people say, you can go out there and basically flame anybody you want, and other than a social repercussion, legal repercussions are really hard to come by. So I don't know. It's a tough deal, but I think first and foremost by Trump coming out and saying that he's gonna put a stop to this or whatever, you can't do that.
He's not. He, as much as of a control freak as I'm sure he is, you can't control it all, and you shouldn't want to control it all. And
you got to rely on, in this case, you got to rely on capitalism to take care of things, because we've already seen a little bit. Obviously, it hasn't gotten to a breaking point yet for these platforms like Facebook or Twitter, but they have been hurt. Bottom line, there are advertisers that have pulled out, saying if you're going to censor this, we don't want to be a part of your platform anymore. So they have begun to lose a little bit of money. So if that cascades and keeps up, then they're going to start hemorrhaging cash. That's the way to send them the message. You hit them in the pocketbook.
Just like everything else.
You don't legislate them, and it's a private company. You can't do all this funny legislation like Trump wants to try to do. But the way you do it is you get the advertisers to pull out, and that'll put a stop to it quick. Otherwise, they're going to go under.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look back, the digital social media realm is relatively new. What are we at? Twitter's 10 years old?
Yeah, maybe.
Somewhere around
like
there.
that.
It's 2018 and so 2006 or 7, I believe,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. But we've had the National Enquirer saying this, the nuttiest things. I mean, it's saying that guys are having alien babies and all these other crazy things. I mean, much crazier things than what InfoWars or anyone like that is saying. Maybe not as inflammatory and all of the Sandy Hook stuff that they talk about and the misogynistic things and whatnot. But we've had this just nutty papers and stuff like that for many years.
And the difference, of course, now being the reach is way more
higher
than it was now that you're in the electronic age, as opposed to the print media and just the old school print media, where you had the only way you would see it is if you went to the grocery store and you saw it on the newsstand. Mm-hmm. Now it's hard to avoid it because it's getting blasted everywhere. So
it is. And the other thing to be said about the National Enquirer, save for sitting at old-fashioned maid like they used to have, that's why my mom would go there, was because, hi Bronx, how you doing, bud? But you have to pay for it. Yeah. Whereas with the Twitter, Bronx, go lay down, bud. Sit down. We're not. We just have a dog here with us, just hanging out. He's a guest. Say hi, Bronx. Anyway, but no, you had to purchase it, although you would probably read some while you're checking out and stuff. We're all guilty of that. I don't
read
care
the
who
cover
you are.
on it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you see, that they've Area 51 has got 1,400 alien children there, you're gonna Bronx. Go lay down, dang it. Go bug the what are those things called? Crawdads. Yeah. No, it's always been a slippery slope. We can go back to whatever her name was earlier. We can, whomever it is, we always have these people that are going to go after the press, and it's so important that we have the press out there, whether we like what they're saying or not, because we bang on them all the time for being left-leaning and things like that, but we still want them. Yeah. They protect our freedoms, or they help protect our freedoms. So it's something very, very interesting. So we're going to get into number 3 here in the trifecta, and that's the ex-CIA chief, John Brennan, as and you're already shaking your head.
This guy's a piece of work.
I'm going to ask.
Trump are perfect for each other.
Yeah, right. I'm going to ask you a question about this once we go over the story. But he lost his security clearance. But
yeah, and first off, the backstory is that Trump revoked his security clearance, and he's no longer. He was the CIA chief. No longer is. No longer
hasn't been for a while.
Right, and no longer a part of the government. So. The big issue I have right off the bat is, why is that not standard operating procedure? If I quit my job, I don't get to keep my security badge to the building,
right?
So why do you get to keep your security clearance after you leave a government job? And their excuse that they come out with right away, that I hear all the time, is that they need it to help transition to the next regime, the next administration coming in, the guy that's taking your place. You can help him. So if you want to use that argument, okay, it's 6 months. Mm-hmm. You get a 6-month transition. After that, you're cut off. Yeah. You don't get it in perpetuity until you die.
That's what surprised me the most about it, because I follow Brennan on Twitter, and because I'm trying to get all kinds of different takes on stuff. And when it came down, because he is an incredibly vocal critic of Trump, incredibly. But I said to myself, and I don't remember how long it's been since he was the CIA chief.
Yeah.
I mean, because we've had 20 to 30 of them since Trump took office.
Yeah, it seems like a
joke. But why exactly what you said? Why do they need it? This is not something I knew that they still had. Yeah. Was somebody is working for NBC News and teaching and all of these things, and still has access to the most critical secret stuff that we have as a nation.
Actually, ironically, I heard some more inside info into this situation driving home from work today, that there are, I think they said, 5 million people with security clearance in the U.S., many of whom no longer function in the government, and 1 million of the 5 million people have top secret clearance. So again, once you leave your position, why should you be able to hang on to it? And the latest thing is now Brennan wants to file suit in order to keep Trump from deactivating other people's security clearance. Again, that goes back to the first question: why do you even have it still? And the other funny story that nobody ever likes to talk about, I actually ran across this a while back, but it's something that's not discussed in the mainstream, is how much of a radical, and when you read about him, you can understand why he's such a vocal guy against Trump. But Brennan's background, that he was a literal card-carrying communist.
Really?
In the 70s. So it's funny to me.
I have not read that about him. I know he worked for a number of different.
Yeah, and so in 1976, when Jimmy Carter won the presidency, Brennan voted for the Communist Party candidate for president that year.
Really?
The year that Carter won. So he was, and so what's funny to me is how does a guy, and you can say now he's disavowed communism, or I don't even know if he has. I haven't heard it. I'm sure he's claimed it at some point, but how do you get from being a straight up communist in the 70s to being the top dog in the CIA?
Yeah.
How does that transpire? How did he I mean, even so you disavow communism now or whatever, but when you're going through and you're vetting candidates, if he's got a skeleton in the closet like that, how did he get past the vetting and the Senate confirmation? I mean, that's just nuts.
To get and I'm sure your dad had security clearances, did he?
I don't think so for his particular position. No,
Okay.
There was a lot of heavy duty stuff going on in his building that he didn't have access to those parts of the building. Yeah.
Well, when my dad was my biological dad was a lieutenant in the Air Force, and what his job was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He would take the launch codes for the nukes and he would fly them himself in a Cessna from different locations. He carried them basically in a briefcase. This is in the 60s, and from one location to another. Well, this was after he graduated from college, and when he was getting all of that, he had the second highest clearance you could get, which was top secret. I don't know if they've changed it since, but then there was top secret crypto. Mm-hmm. And the main reason he didn't have crypto was that he didn't need it. If you didn't need it, they're not going to go any further than they have to. But he said that when he was being vetted, they went to Burns, Oregon, where my family's from, and my grandfather was the superintendent of schools, my grandmother was a librarian, and they interviewed everyone. There was not a stone left unturned about my dad, and because I would talk to him about it, quite a bit because it interested me a lot. But so for you to say this and for him to have any type of relationship with the Communist Party, just from listening to what my dad dealt with, I mean, it was crazy the questions they asked everyone in town, and to hear that somebody that could be possibly affiliated with the Communist Party could head the CIA, that scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that was just kind of brushed aside, and nobody seemed to, not enough people objected to it to stop his nomination from happening back in the day.
Yeah, that's nuts. But the whole thing with him and being a critic, and everyone's going to be a critic, right, or they're going to be a proponent. It doesn't matter, and everyone has the right to go and talk about it. He got hired by NBC to be a correspondent, all of that good stuff, whatever. That's phenomenal. But I don't know that I want a talking head on a television show, some pundit, to have top secret crypto, and as an older gentleman maybe let something slip after a few cocktails after the show or
and
something
again,
like
that. And again, it goes back to the point. Now that you are a talking head and a pundit, again,
are we talking heads now?
Could be. But now that you are a talking head and a pundit, again, why do you need clearance?
Exactly.
You're going to be a member of the media now, and now you still need your clearance, because again, now what happens? Now you can spill the beans, and a whole lot of people are going to hear about it because you're coming into contact with a lot of media types.
Yeah, and anyone that might have some more insight into this, please put a post or post a comment or something like that on the website or on the Facebook, wherever. Hit us up on Twitter at Kinetic Chaos Pod. And give us some insight into that, because we love to bring it back up in the flashback so that we can help everyone understand why this can happen.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we, as we move forward, I'm sure these types of things, especially now with the 24-hour news cycle, are going to come to the forefront. Yeah. Especially with him being kind of the poster child for it. So,
right.
Well, with that, that's number 3 in the trifecta. Are you ready for crunch time?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready, set, go.
my little crunch time is the usual rant. I think something we talked about before, but it's something that it comes and goes, and I see it. I've seen it a lot, like in the last couple of weeks during when I'm driving. That's the old left lane commuters.
Oh.
The guys that just park it in the left lane and just cruise the speed limit. And I see it most often when I'm going to work in the morning. And when I'm coming home, I don't seem to have that much of an issue with seeing that. But it's almost every day these last couple weeks, going on 14, kind of by like where it goes back out to 2 lanes by the Wesley Ford dealership. There's always inevitably somebody just cruising at 55 in the left lane, car stacking up behind them, and then you're having to go around and pass them on the right. Yeah. It's just,
and we have a law in this state.
There is a law
that says you should be in the right lane, regardless of, unless you're overtaking somebody, passing them,
actively passing somebody. Yeah.
Exactly. And I will occasionally drive in the fast lane, but by and large, I want to be in the right lane because I can see what's going on. And the main thing is that because my truck's pretty loud, I can't always hear a siren.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that I'm out of the way, and I'm not going to impede an emergency vehicle's ability to get by me. And usually I can hear them, but if they're driving 85 miles an hour, they come up on you pretty quick, and you may not hear that siren right away. So no, I'm right there with you. It's not to say that we don't encourage people to drive the speed limit. We absolutely do. If it's 55, I think 60 is all right though. I mean, I don't think you're gonna hurt anything.
Right.
And for the most part, that's pretty much what people kind of stick to in this area, is about 5 over the speed limit. You go to some areas and you might get into the 10 to 12 to 15. What's that for? You?
This acknowledgement.
Are you a fast driver? Slightly?
Yeah.
Okay, well give us the real story, Wes. How fast do you like to drive?
Well, if I'm not being impeded by a back marker in the left lane, then usually, depend. I keep it more under control if the kids are in the car with me. I'm not as speedy. But if I'm by myself,
Speedy Gun Robertson,
like commuting back and forth to work on a daily basis when I'm by myself, if it's free and clear, if I'm wide open, I'll be between 70 and 75.
Really?
Yeah.
In a 60?
Yeah.
Do you have a radar detector or anything?
Spidey sense.
Wow. A ginger with Spidey sense, huh? You don't see that every day, kids.
That's right.
Do you use Waze?
I know that. No, I know where all the cops hang out, so I kind of.
Oh, that's what you said. Everyone.
I ease off the throttle when you come up to the problem spots, but no, I've had good luck.
I've got to say, if you haven't used Waze, folks, it's
cool.
A great predictor.
I don't use it on a regular basis, but it is cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I when I'm on the highways and whatnot, I try to. I try to have Waze up so that I can see just how fast I'm going. But in my truck, 75. I mean, it does it easily, and you don't quite feel it. But you when you get on the bumpy roads, I can really. So I try to keep it. And for me, fuel mileage. Anything over 60. Oh my gosh! Yeah. I go from 18 to 19 down to probably 14 or 15. Wow. It's a stark contrast if I'm above that 60 mile an hour zone.
And maybe it's the whole wanting to get home thing, but it seems like when I'm coming home from work at 3:30 in the afternoon, there's a whole lot of people going the same speed I am. We're all going like 70, 75, booking it home. So.
Now, you go down 164th and then hit 14 west?
I go 192nd coming home.
Okay.
I use the back exit out of the lot and go down. Going to work, I go 164th, and coming home, I loop down 192nd.
Oh, okay.
So, it's got a little circuitous route.
Yeah. What? We haven't had a word of the day.
Yeah.
Circuitous. Is that what it was?
Circuitous. What are we talking about?
Oh yeah, there's Tia chiming in about Waze. I agree with you, Tia. That is correct. It works only until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of other things in life. But no, for me, in my crunch time, I had one earlier, and I kind of didn't really want to go with it. But I just got to say, and this is a total week one, whatever. I'm just. Corn on the cob right now is so damn good. I could eat it right now, I bet you 2-3 times a day.
What time of year?
The kids are in shucking it right now. This is another thing that we're so excited to be out here for. We have Camus Produce.
Yes.
And Kim and I went out there yesterday, Camus Produce, and it is so awesome to have a produce stand that's just a produce
Exactly.
stand.
That's
Because
way
we used
cool.
to go to BZ Farms out in Vancouver, a little bit of a distance, probably about the same from, Schuylkill to Camas produce, but it's so awesome to be able to go in there and see that produce that you know is local, and some of it's organic, some of it isn't, but the corn here in the Willamette Valley extended area is phenomenal. If you don't go to Camas Produce, if you can get out to BZ Farms and get their hybrid white and yellow, or yellow and white mixed corn, it is the sweetest. I mean, it's one of those where I will just shuck it and I can eat it right there without even cooking it. And yesterday we had the corn on the cob with the Kim made the mayo tamales. Oh boy!
Here we go.
Tamales.
The Twitter comment or the Facebook comments are rolling in.
Yeah, we're gonna. So, kids, after yesterday's podcast that we did, Wes and I, he's listened to the whole episode so far, and I've listened to about half of it. And we realized just how much we really love food. So you're going to see probably another show come off of that. That's just going to be Wes and I talking food because we're both good at it.
We can do a weekend update.
Yeah,
As a little weekend spin-off with
I get to be Colin Quinn.
Yeah.
That will be awesome. But no, we're going to have that upcoming because it just is so much fun for the both of us, and to help educate folks and hopefully, bring some knowledge and demystify cooking, because I'd never went to any cooking classes, anything like that. I got cookbooks and I just taught myself. And I'm sure you didn't go to Le Cordon Bleu, did you?
Negative on that one.
Never. And Tia is an amazing, she's canning just about, I think she canned Alton the other day. Damn close, I bet.
That might be illegal, so I don't know, but
Yeah, don't be canning your children.
But I think we can safely say we're going to do a cooking ep probably September, if not before, but at least on September 6th, Thursday, we've got a little kind of an all-day podcast party.
Palooza.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll fire off a cooking ep while we're in there too.
And we got to get the video stuff going so that we can, because now that I've got a home base and we'll have the big smoker here, we're going to be able to put some stuff together. With the football season coming, we'll have some Saturdays. You haven't been over to one of them because I haven't had a football party in a few years, but we get a little crazy with the Cheese Whiz. And so we'll have you over. We'll do some live recording. We'll do some Facebook Live, and just make it amazing and help spread the good word for barbecue and food in general. High quality food.
Yes.
And it's not always about quantity, it's about quality.
Yep.
And that's what I really like about, being able to talk about it. And you and I are, for what one of us doesn't know, the other one does know. And so that works out really well. So, and we hope that you guys are interested in that stuff as well, because we are having such an incredibly fun time doing all this.
You bet.
With that being said, do you have anything else for everyone?
I've got nothing.
Well, this has been a hair shorter episode than usual, but we did have 40 last night. Congratulations to you and me for getting into our third seasons.
Knuckles over the hill.
We are over the hill. As is a fun feeling when I was writing the post this morning. It was kind of surreal. We're starting to figure this out. Just like I believe when you hit 40, you'll be there next year.
That's
you
right.
start to figure life out, and a little bit. I think that you kind of figure it out probably the day before you pass away. But
if we can just get Zuckerberg to stop interrupting our feed,
I apologize
then we'll be
for
all
that.
set.
Well, I think I'm really going to try this tomorrow, probably maybe not tomorrow, but Wednesday, to get the YouTube, because it is, I think, going to be far better. And as we move into the new studio, then we're going to have it really set up. We won't have anything to worry about there. We'll be able to blaze everything, so that'll be a lot of fun. But without anything else, this has been Kinetic Chaos Podcast number 41. We hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week. Get ready for the last weekend before football kicks in.
That's right.
Full tilt boogie. But actually, as we speak, for those that are watching, there is a Monday Night Football game on right now. I have not watched a lick of football yet, but I am going to try to watch that.
All right. Even though it doesn't count?
I
You
don't.
still like those?
All right. For me, it's just it's kind of like it's just a pre-funk.
Yeah.
Okay, it's bees.
Just eat it like that one guy.
Right, or my dog. But no, it's just about getting the juices flowing.
Yeah.
Just having some fun with it. I don't have to have. It doesn't have to be the biggest and best. I've got 2 weeks before the Beavers just take a severe beating when the I gets dotted, in the Ohio. So yeah, that's going to be ruthless.
Yes, it will be.
But, well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I am Will.
I'm Wes.
And we gone. Round of applause.
Yes. Thanks to those who are still there.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Hi, guys.
We're still here, kind of.
Yeah. Save the husks. I think the kids have already gotten rid of them. I apologize for that, Tia, but
Next
I will
time,
do that.
maybe.
I did not know that you were a tamale aficionado.
Oh, dude, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Then I want to be the judge of that.
Maybe, well, I'm just saying tamales in general are one of the greatest things in the world. Like, maybe like right after Pad Kimau.
Really?
Oh, I love tamales. Oh, man.
See, most people don't know how to make them. And we got to go, I got to take you back to El Buen Gusto for their...
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
Wow.
We've got to go back to El Buen Gusto because on the weekends, that's when they make their scratch corn tortillas, and then they make enchiladas out of them, and they make tamales. Obviously, you don't make those with the tortillas, but they make it all from scratch. The enchiladas is the best enchilada from anywhere I've ever eaten, with scratch-made reefer beans and the Mexican rice. Unbelievable.
Interesting.
And like they say, they're not fast food, they're good food. It takes a little time.
Yeah.
But, it is so worth it. It is incredible how good it is.
Yeah, I love me some tamales.
Their whole thing is incredible there. I'm so, and that's one sad thing about us moving east is that it's not going to be, we're not going to be as close to that, but we'll definitely be hitting it up because you still can't, tomorrow's Taco Tuesday for them. It's $1.25 for tacos. And it's a good taco.
It's like Don Pedro's $1.25, right?
That I don't know.
I think they're $1.25.
Are they?
Yeah.
I really don't usually have their little. I usually go with their nachos. Yeah. But I do their carne asada tacos somewhat.
Yeah.
We went there the other day, and I had it was some big thing I can't remember, but anyway, it's El Boom goes to, and we got to get back into the food reviews. That's the other thing. We had a hell of a lot of fun. My dad had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got to find.
We'll work because we still got to. Now we can do the pickle challenge or the pickle slushy.
Oh, pickle slushy, yeah.
Yeah,
we got to work that in.
We got to get that in, and we've got all these wonderful things that we want to share with everyone that's watching. And Steve, right there.
Noodle. Well, yeah, Steve's the pho master.
Oh, Steve, you are?
Man. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I think he eats it 3 meals a day.
Steve, can you confirm or deny that? I don't believe he eats it that much, but
what was I gonna say?
I don't know.
I got it. Can't think now. Something to do with food, but now I lost my train of thought.
No, we gotta think about what we want to call the new food cast. The crushing tacos? No, I don't know. We'll think of something, but no, it's I'm looking forward to that. All these things that we've been talking about, and you guys will see they're going to start to come to fruition. We've got some life settling down a little bit. I've got great big white boards coming so that we can plan it all out and kind of be like, Glengarry, Glen Ross, when coffee's for closers, kinetics for closers.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
No, that will be fun. So, well, with that, everyone, we hope you have a wonderful evening. We will see you on Thursday.
All right.
And Tia, I want tamales stat, please. That sounds really good. I'm hungry for tamales now. That's my cheap plea to Tia.